Welcome to a review of the Management 404 vocabulary terms. A couple quick disclaimers or notes. Number one, I'll put the Quizlet in the link in the description. Two, some of these memes might be a little cringy, but bear with me. Hopefully they'll help us remember. And three, I'll put the term that we're going to be asked about in bold, and then kind of a more expanded description not in bold. So on the quizzes and tests, we're going to see what's in bold, and then the rest is just for learning purposes. Let's get into it. I might need to make two parts, but here we go. Number one is the ADDIE model. So what this is a program to design learning programs, which is a little meta, so that's why I put this meme. But basically, it's just a process to say, we need to design a training program or a learning program for employees. How are we going to do this? Well, let's research what the learners need. We'll outline the program. We'll develop materials. Then we'll give them the program. And then we'll analyze how it went or measure how it went. The second term is the Age Discrimination in Employment Act. And so this is a U.S. act that prohibits discrimination in the workplaces on basis of age. And so I thought this meme was funny. Yes, we can give you summer work, Mr. Claus. Even at 1700 years old, we don't age discriminate. So this basically just protects the elderly against age discrimination at work. Next is the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so this is a U.S. act that prohibits discrimination against those with disabilities. And I thought this was a nice quote. People perceive disability as a weakness, something that needs to be cured, and we have to fight against that. Next is the term apprenticeship. So this is relating to technical skills training, often a partnership between employers, and unions. And so I thought I have a couple of these in here, like what my parents think I do, what society thinks I do. This is an electrician apprentice meme. You can see for yourself. But basically, apprenticeship is when someone who has skills teaches someone those skills. Next is an assessment center. So our class definition is assessment tools that provide candidates a wide range of leadership situations and problem-solving exercises. And so that seems like, we're teaching our employees, but actually the tools, the kind of thing that it's getting at is that the tools are used to evaluate candidates' leadership and problem-solving skills. So it's basically assessing the candidates' skills, potential to work there. Next is the term auditory learners, and so this is learners who rely on the sense of hearing to learn best. And so I've heard people say like, visual learning, auditory learning, it's all made up. But I feel like some people might learn in different ways, which I think is interesting. It'd be a fun thing to research, I believe. But the word auditory comes from the Latin word auditorius, which means to hear or listen. And so it's kind of like you can remember it by like an audiobook because you listen to it. So auditory learner is one who learns best through listening. Next term is balanced scorecard. So this is a performance management tool that depicts an organization's overall performance measured against its goals and indicators. And so this is what one would actually look like, which I think is so cool. You basically have your company goals, and it's something that measures performance. And so I thought this meme was funny. All right, benchmarking is the process by which an organization identifies performance gaps and sets goals for performance improvement. So I remember when I played soccer, there'd be like a lot of benchmarking. You'd have meetings with coaches, like, okay, this is where you're at, this is where you want to be. And so those are both benchmarks. So there can be future-oriented or present-oriented benchmarks. Big data. So this is high volume, high velocity, and high variety information assets that require innovative forms of information processing for enhanced insight and decision making. That's a long definition. It's basically a lot of data. And I thought this meme was so funny. Okay, blended learning. if if you are a student in the last, I don't know, 4 years, you definitely know what blended learning is. It's the combination of online and in-class learning, and our book or class definition is planned approach to learning that indicates a combination of instructor-led training, self-directed training, and on-the-job training. So blogs. Blogs are broadcast-style communications that enable authors to publish articles, opinions, products, or service reviews on a web page. And I'm just remembering, if you've seen The Office, Creed wants to set up a blog, and then Ryan just opens a Word document, and Creed thinks he has a blog. And I have a quote that I love. It's, even for the internet, it's weird stuff. I thought that was pretty funny. I think you have our classic meme. Okay, career development is progression through a series of employment stages characterized by relatively unique issues, themes, and tasks. So one does not simply wear jeans to the career fair. Career development is basically your job and your livelihood and your career unfolding. Career management. So what is the difference between development and management? Management is preparing, implementing, and monitoring employees' career paths. So I think of it like career development is, if you're playing soccer, how your skills grow, what different teams you're on, etc. And then career management is more from a coach's perspective, like what position do they see you playing in the future? That's why I put a little formation, or where it's more kind of a monitoring than a progression. And then career planning. This is actions and activities that individuals perform in order to give direction to their work lives. So this could be like thinking about your next step, or like where you see yourself in the future and how you're going to get there, getting the right qualifications to do what you want, etc. All right, chain of command. This is a line of authority within an organization. So the Morgan Freeman chain of command. You have God on top, of course, the U.S. president, the South African president, CIA director, and so on. But chain of command. You can remember that through Morgan Freeman, hopefully. All right, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This was the first comprehensive U.S. law making it unlawful to discriminate on the basis of race, religion, gender. I think there were a couple others, like sexual orientation, national origin too. I tried to keep the definitions as short as possible, but this was very important, of course. And then this act got reformed in 1991 to let people sue for discrimination at work and to get money if they're treated unfairly. Cloud computing. This is a style of computing in which scalable IT-enabled capabilities are delivered as a service using internet technologies. So basically, using the internet to access computer servers. Coaching. Everyone knows what coaching is, but it's always good to review. So this is focused, interactive communication and guidance intended to develop and enhance on-the-job performance, knowledge, or behavior. Competencies. So these are clusters of higher interrelated abilities, such as KSA. So that's knowledge, skills, and abilities. So it's basically skills and knowledge needed to do a job well done. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills, like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. Cost-benefit analysis. This is basically a process that compares the benefits to an activity to its cost to see if it's profitable. So it's basically asking, is it worth it? And I thought these memes were so funny. There were tons if you just look up, like, is it worth it animal memes. Are your cookies really worth it? Think about it. Okay, data analytics. So this is the process of studying data to detect patterns and relationships that can be used to make predictions and improve decisions. And so a quote I love, pardon my language, there are lies, damned lies, and statistics. This quote is basically saying like, oh, data manipulation in data analytics is very easy. I also thought this was funny, explaining why it'll take 2 years to answer how many active customers we have. Because when there's a lot of data, it's difficult, and I imagine that would be a very hard job in a company. But the process of studying data, you can remember that. All right, so our next three are kind of confusing, so I thought I'd give like a little simple definition. We have a database, a DBMS, and a dashboard. So a database stores the information. So this is, I'll give the examples later. The DBMS manages and controls the database, and then the dashboard displays the info. So an example of this would be a database would be a spreadsheet storing customer purchase history, and then a DBMS would be a Microsoft server, so you would manage that data on a Microsoft server, and then the dashboard would like show those analytics if you wanted to like present it to management. All right, database. We went over it, but I'll give our class definition that we'll need to know. This is a data structure that stores organized information. Wrong database selected. It's the worst when you're on a database and it's like, you do that and then the command Z doesn't work. Like, my stomach drops every time. Alright, database management system. So this is a variety of software applications that electronically manage stored data. I'm going to store a lot of structured data in a database, right? In a database, right? And so there's kind of a running joke I've seen online, like, oh, Excel isn't like a real database. I love Excel, but I know like if you want like advanced, something more advanced or something that will store big data, as we learned, you'll probably need a higher end and more expensive database. And then a dashboard. This is reporting mechanisms that aggregate and display metrics and key performance indicators. That would suck if you were working on a dashboard to display like something for your company, and then your boss was like, oh, can you actually do it on this kind of dashboard, and you're almost done. Ugh. Development development activities. These are activities that focus on preparing employees for future responsibilities while increasing their capacity to perform current jobs. So you might be asking, what's the difference between this and like training? This is for current employees. Like, training is usually for people taking on, like, who are becoming employees or doing a drastic switch in jobs. But this is training by preparing for future responsibilities, but it's also helping you with your current job. So I thought this was a cute meme. Mother cat meow and hisses at me. Mother cat purrs and trusts me. So character development. Kind of like just remembering development. Alright, dual career ladders. Career development programs that identify meaningful career paths for professional and technical people outside traditional management roles. So this is basically thinking outside the box when you want to like promote someone or someone's doing a good job, but you don't want to move them to a managerial role, but you still want to give them like new responsibilities and tasks. So thinking outside the box. Alright, distance learning. This is the process of delivering educational or instructional programs to locations away from the classroom or site. And this is terrifying, but I also really want to do it. Basically remote learning. E-learning. This is electronic media delivery of educational and training materials. So you might be thinking, what's the difference between this and like distance learning, remote learning? Well, remote learning is specifically, or like distance learning, this is like a Zoom where you're separated by like, it could be COVID or geological reasons, but I believe e-learning is more like, oh, we were supposed to have school today, it's canceled, I'll put the materials online. Not like, oh, we're going to Zoom because of circumstances. Encryption. So this is the conversion of data into a format that protects or hides its natural presentation or intended meaning. So the etymology of this, N means in, and then cryptos means hidden or secret. So it literally means to hide something. So you're hiding that data. And so I love hide and seek, and I thought this meme was funny. All right, enterprise resource planning, or ERP. So this is basically software that helps businesses manage and analyze data from various activities using integrated applications. So even our simple definition sounds a little wordy. It basically is just technology that helps management look at data from a bunch of different applications. So if you need to pull data from like Microsoft Sheets, Airtable, you can use an ERP to like integrate it all together. Okay, Family and Medical Leave Act. So this is the U.S. act that provides employees with up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave to care for family members or because serious health conditions. And so I thought this meme was funny. What my friends think I do, what my mom thinks I do. You can read it, and then, hey man, I'm marking off FMLA, which is the abbreviation, Friday, Monday Leave Act. All right, force field analysis. So this is a type of analysis in which factors that can influence an outcome in either a negative or positive manner are listed and then basically weighed. And so what this means is when you're wanting to make a decision, a force field analysis lists the factors and outcomes and then weighs them to say, okay, is this decision good? And so I thought about like a decision one might have to make, like, oh, should I get a summer job? You could do a force field analysis to say, okay, here are all the pros and cons. It could be fun, I'd learn a lot and make some money. Cons, I wouldn't get to do so much summer activities, I'd be busier, I wouldn't get to see friends and family as much. And so that would be a classic pros and cons list, but then force field analysis, you would put actual weights on like numbers and percentages on the pros and cons. So like pro, earning extra money, that's like you could assign your numbers like a 7 out of 10. And then being a little busier, okay, that's a 3 out of 10 on the negative, and then you'd make that decision. And I thought the Simpsons meme was funny. Oh, I'm gonna miss the whole summer. Don't worry, boy. When you get a job like me, you'll miss every summer. All right, formalization refers to the extent to which rules, policies, and procedures govern the behavior of employees at work. And so this basically is saying, are people actually listening to the rules and policies? Like, do they have an effect on the culture, or are they just ignored? And so are the rules treated more like guidelines or actual rules? All right. This is my favorite meme probably on this whole thing. Front-back structure. This is an organizational structure that divides an organization into front functions and back functions. So the front teams deal with the customers, and then the back teams create the products and services. And so dealing with the customers, this would be the front, of course. I'm gonna place you on a brief hold. All right, departmentalization is a way an organization groups jobs to coordinate work. And so this might seem simple. This is the accounting department in the office, but don't get confused with the next term, functional structure. So this is an organizational structure in which departments are defined by the series they contribute to. So like sales, HR, accounting, etc. And so these might seem like the same. I always struggle. Departmentalization is more the way, like it's not a noun, it's the way the organization groups does jobs. And then the functional structure is if you were to like look at the skeleton of a business and say, okay, how is this structured? If it's grouped into like accountants, HR, sales, then they have a functional structure. Gamification. So this is the selective use of game design and game mechanics to drive employee engagement in non-gaming business scenarios. So I thought this term was very good from this meme. Creating more game-like experiences in non-game contexts. So a lot of social media does this. I remember when Snapchat first came out with streaks, everyone was like, oh, they're gamifying it. And so this is a good idea if you're a manager, just to make everything more fun, even for yourself. I think that would be cool. All right, geographic structure. So this is an organizational structure in which geographic regions define the organizational chart. So basically, a structure that organizes a company off different geographic regions. While looking for a meme, I thought this was a funny map. Alright, groupware. So this is an umbrella term for specialized collaborative software applications. And so basically it's software that's designed specifically for teamwork. And so I've always wanted to try Monday.com. I don't do enough group projects, I don't think, to actually use it. But it's supposed to be really good for like planning and stuff, and I always see the YouTube ads. Hacking. This is the act of deliberately accessing a computer without permission. Hackers in movies be like. Alright, Human Resource Information System. So this is information technology framework and tools for gathering, storing, maintaining, and retrieving HR data. So basically a system for managing and accessing HR data. And this meme is so funny. I won't kill it by explaining it, but if you've seen The Office, this is a good episode. Alright, hybrid structure. Why is there a picture of a pig? Let me tell you. It originally comes from the word hybrida, which refers to a tame soul, which is like a female pig, I believe, and then a wild boar. So when they had like a child, when they had a kid, it was called the hybrida because it was like mixing those two breeds. And so a hybrid structure is a mix of different kinds of organizational elements. So it could be like a geographic structure plus a product structure plus a functional structure. And so we already learned what functional and geographic structure is. Functional structure, if you remember, is where the functions are divided, so there are departments. And then geographical structure is where the workplace is divided by region, and then we'll learn what product structure is, probably in part 2. Alright, individual development plan. This is a document that guides employees toward their goals for professional development and growth. I thought this meme was funny. This dog, he's trying to grow, trying to get those gains. So it's kind of like in working out, you might have a workout plan where you're going to eat certain foods with a lot of protein, or do certain exercises. So individual development plan is just that, but for business and career. All right, we have done 45 terms. There's only 45 more, so I will see you in part 2.